I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I'm Scott Vaughn. I'm the publisher of the News Tribune, the Missouri Times, the California Democrat. And I want to introduce our co-host tonight, Gary Plummer, the head of the Jefferson City Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Yeah, it's our pleasure to partner with Scott and the Tribune on this tonight. Very pleased to see such a good response from the candidates in contested races on the August 4th ballot. Thanks for being with us tonight. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us as well. One of my roles tonight was to make sure there was some water. So if at the break, there's a little blue cooler right outside this door where the mayor's standing, and feel free to help yourself to one of those little bottles of water. Anybody in the room is welcome to do that. And also, I want to introduce a couple of other folks from the chamber that are with us tonight. First of all, our board chair, Brandy Bryant, who is with Jefferson Bank, is with us tonight. And a lady who I depend on very closely for events like this, the chair of our Government Relations Committee, Shannon Hawk, who is with AT Government Strategies. So again, welcome, and I'll turn it back to you, Scott.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to partner with the Chamber on this event. We want to get right into it. I'm thinking everybody watching at home, and especially everybody that came out tonight. Let's start off. We're going to start off with District 59, district that's in a little bit of the city and most of the county. And our first person to welcome up is former Mayor Carrie Turgeon. Also Glenn Reynolds. And the third candidate is Vic Rackers. You guys take a seat wherever. Pin those mics on. And I want to take a moment before we do our opening statements to recognize our Democratic candidate, who we hope will be here in this room in a couple months debating the winner of the race, Becky Crow. If you'd stand up. We thank you much for being here. We appreciate it. If you guys will pin those mics on, we'll get started with our opening statements, and we'll start off with former Mayor Carrie Turgeon.
Hi there. Thank you so much. I'm Carrie Turgeon, former mayor for 8 years of Jefferson City, and I will be your next state rep in District 59. I'm pro-life, I'm pro-family, I'm pro-farmer, I'm pro-Second Amendment, I'm pro-business. But what sets me apart from the other candidates in this race is I have the experience necessary to be this next state rep in this district. As a former mayor, I have led the city. I know exactly what it takes to run a successful community, and I really want to get in there and get things done. When I was mayor, there were several things that we talked about for many years, and we actually got them done during my term, and really proud to have led through all of that. And you also know exactly how I operate under pressure. You saw that with the 2019 tornado. And so I know that that's something that is very important to know how our leaders are going to act and react. And I said our community would come back stronger, and it did. So I thank you, and I'd love to be your next state rep. Thank you.
Next will be Mr. Reynolds.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Glenn Reynolds. I'm also a candidate here for the 59th District. I live in between Wardsville and St. Thomas here in the rural Cole County. I love our way of life. I love our community. I'll tell you that I'm a father, a husband, and a gentleman who loves to give to our community. And since I've been here, I've been on the Blair Oaks School Board. I'm currently the Cole County Republican Club president and actually a wrestling coach too. And so I love being able to help people and bring out the best in them. And so by that, I'm asking to be the 59th District candidate to take those values to the Capitol, bringing family values back. I've faced a number of firestorms there with the school board and various other positions. So with that, I feel that I'm prepared, and I'm excited to be here and to be the one to bring us up to the next level.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rackers.
Good evening. I'm Dick Rackers, a lifelong conservative Republican. I've been married to my wife Eileen for 36 years. We've raised 3 children and 3 married children and 7 grandchildren. I grew up in rural Cole County, and we still live in rural Cole County, which is the definition of the 59th District. I am active in service and volunteerism such as the Bugle Boy, Knights of Columbus, and the MU Extension Council. I reflect the values of the district, and I plan to bring those beliefs and concerns to the Capitol. I am actively pro-life, exclusively endorsed by the Missouri Right to Life. I am an NRA lifetime member and received their highest candidate rating. I stand for limited government, minimum taxes, property rights, and personal freedoms. As I said in February, politicians will be running to the right, but I will already be there. More on this later. Thank you for the opportunity to join you this evening.
I'm thrilled to introduce our panel. We have our top political reporter, Jack Wardinsky. The host of the NT Daily, Jeff City's own Aaron Shrimp. And our associate publisher, Mia Sanson. We'll start off the questions tonight with Jack, and the first person to answer will be Mayor Turgeon.
Awesome, all right. Thank you guys again for coming out. So for our first question, Amendment 3 on the November ballot would repeal the Right to Reproductive Freedom Initiative, prohibiting abortions other than for medical emergencies and fetal anomalies, as well as rape or incest through the first 12 weeks of gestation. So how do you feel that abortion should be regulated in Missouri? And again, we'll start with Carrie Turgeon.
Thank you. I believe in the sanctity of life. This amendment is important because after millions of out-of-state dollars funding pushed through in 2024, this establishes some important safeguards, including parental consent for minors. Amendment 3 gives all Missourians the chance to make an informed decision in November concerning the sanctity of life and protection of our children. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Glenn Reynolds now.
Well, it's a great thing to bring up. I am 100% for Amendment 3. As Carrie said, it prohibits abortions except for rape and incest up to 12 weeks of pregnancy. One of the things that's personally important to me is it prohibits the gender transition procedures for minors. And with that, that's puberty blockers, transition surgeries, cross-sex hormones for the gender transition. And so with that, absolutely, I support it. And in this position here, I know we're voting on it as a state, but what an opportunity to be able to vote to save lives. And with that, I'll turn it over to Vic.
Mr. Ackers?
I'm a strong proponent of Amendment 3. I believe every innocent unborn baby should be nourished and protected. I would encourage everyone to support it and cherish human life, especially babies. I would also encourage everyone to vote for Amendment 4, because if we don't pass Amendment 4 and we are able to pass Amendment 3, the other side can come right back in the next election cycle and put abortion right back on the ballot and pass it with the same 50% plus one threshold, which is, in my opinion, way too low. So I would encourage you to vote for Amendment 4 on 8-4 and Amendment 3 on 11-3. I've been actively pro-life my whole adult life. We strongly opposed Amendment 4 back in 24, and unfortunately, without initiative petition reform, it was passed by 51.6% of the vote, which is way too low of a threshold, in my opinion, to be changing the Missouri Constitution.
Our next question comes from Aaron Shrimp.
I'm going to do the question first, and Glenn, we'll start with you.
Sure.
The foundation formula for education did not receive full funding in the state budget, and lawmakers utilized one-time funds to address the shortfall. If you are elected, what is your position on fully funding the state foundation formula as Missouri faces budget deficits?
So yes, that's a great question, and for me as a school board member, I'm seeing that directly the issues that we're facing and where we're having to make hard decisions. And so with that, I feel like our educational system needs to be fully funded, and the reason for that is because that is one of the foundational blocks that our children have to be able to be successful in life. So giving them a proper education takes them further than pretty much anything else in life, and so we're setting them up for success. And so with that, here in the state of Missouri, we have both homeschooling, we have private schooling, and we have public education. There's room for all of those here in the state. There's opportunities there, but from the public education standpoint, we do need to do what we have to fund that so that we're all successful and raise the standards here in the state of Missouri.
Mr. Ackers?
I don't believe lack of spending or funding is necessarily the problem with our education system in Missouri. I believe we need to demand more accountability and more positive results. The local public schools spend about $21,000 per student here in Jefferson City, and I would hope that would be sufficient to provide a quality education for these students. Everyone wants a great public education for our students and to be well prepared for society. But how do we get there? Is it a lack of funding or is it a lack of accountability? You know, the governor went through and did an A through F rating. I believe we just need to be more back to focus on the basics in our public schools and demand more accountability. And we're paying, I believe, enough taxes. People believe that their property taxes are way too high. So we need to demand more value for our tax dollars, I believe.
Back to Jack for our next question.
Oh,
sorry.
Carrie,
Mayor
please.
Turgeon.
Sorry.
When the budget is based on casino revenue to fund schools, there are times when revenue may not meet expectations, which is how it seems to be done and handled. However, it is my understanding the state didn't necessarily reduce the funding for the schools, but didn't increase it. There are definitely some tough choices that will have to be made, especially with less revenue. I also have the experience that I served on the Missouri State University Board of Governors for 9 years, so I have also a different perspective where I can also bring some creative thoughts to this discussion. And I know how we always had to be very accountable for all of the dollars that were spent and how we were able to do that. So I look forward to that potential to serve in that position. Thank you.
Jack.
All right, for our next question, the latest attempt to reinstate Missouri's Second Amendment Preservation Act failed in the 2026 legislative session. Would you support the law being reinstated in its original form to prohibit certain federal firearm regulations in Missouri? And we'll start with Vic on this one.
Yes, I would. I'm a proud defender of the Second Amendment, and I believe it shall not be infringed upon. I am a firearm proponent and very familiar with most types of firearms for hunting and self-defense. I also have my concealed carry permit. I've taught many youths to hunt and given them opportunities to hunt on our land. Thankfully, I've never had to use a firearm for self-defense, but I believe the best way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Sturgeon.
I support our constitutional right to bear arms, although we don't want legislation that is legally unenforceable. We also need to support our law enforcement teams and ensure that this doesn't impede protection of people's rights and safety rather than helping them. We need to constitutionally align the legislation that will ensure that these rights remain secure.
Glenn.
I too support the SAFA Act. I'm happy to go back and revisit it on what changes may need to be done to make sure that this is a legal law. As a Second Amendment proponent and also one of the, I received the NRA's highest ranking 2. I've carried all my life. I've also hunted all my life, lifelong. Many fond memories of my dad taking me out hunting, and I've been able to pass that on to my children. And with that, I feel like we have the opportunity to be able to put this into effect. And so with that, I absolutely would support the SAFA Act.
Aaron.
Governor Kehoe appropriated $15 million in the latest fiscal year state budget for Jefferson City's parking garage that will be attached to the new conference center development. Do you feel the building project is a worthwhile state investment that will benefit city residents? And we will start with Carrie.
Yes. We are the hub of state government, and this investment in our community will benefit the state. While it may look a little different from the development that was proposed when I was mayor, it's still very beneficial for the state to be a partner with the city and other investors to bring growth. Those funds will see a direct result in drawing people to the Capitol for functions, and in turn people will spend their money here. There are over 30,000 people, for example, a year that visit MSP up the road, and even more that are visiting the Capitol. So this is how we grow, by utilizing our assets and why people are coming here. So I think when the state can partner on something that will not only directly affect the state, but also improve the city, it's a good partnership. Thank you.
Yes, so the $15 million appropriated for the conference center, the city council voted to approve the conference center. The governor is supporting it from the state. With that, I think there's opportunity to bring much more commerce here to the state, to the capital, that we've been missing out on. So quite frankly, it's happening. It's going to happen here. So the best thing, in my opinion, we can do is get behind it and support this. Have a positive attitude about it. One of the things that I tell my children is you can't have a positive life with a negative attitude. And since this is happening, let's get behind it and make it the most so that it benefits our community the most.
Mr. Ackers.
I believe there's a question on our budget shortfall that's going to be coming up next, and I believe this is maybe a good example of why we have a budget shortfall. When we have a budget shortfall, but the state has to give the city of Jefferson $15 million. I believe I don't believe the city of Jefferson should be getting into the conference center and hotel business. I believe that should be left to private enterprises, and I believe it is going to be competing with local hotel owners and event venue owners. They need to turn a profit to stay in business, but the city won't have to do that while making it harder for private businesses to survive. The proposed $300 price per hotel room, I believe is going to make price them out of business, be self-defeating. The reps that I know that come to Jefferson City try to stay at the least, the cheapest place, and they pay $50 a night. So compare $50 with $300. I don't believe you're going to have a whole lot of state reps or senators staying at the conference center. Also, the $385,000 hotel model room is exorbitant, but I was encouraged to see that they cut the $1.2 million pool rooftop.
Thank you, Mr.
Rooftop
Rogers.
pool.
Our next question is going to come from some of our readers, and we'll let Mia read a couple of those.
Yes. Governor Kehoe has stated repeatedly that Missouri has a spending problem. If elected, how would you advocate for the state to better balance its budget? We'll start with Glenn.
Well, I feel like we do have a spending problem. And so with that, we show our priorities with where we spend our money. So when we look at our budget, we're going to have to go back and review what is important to us as a state. And so for me, my opinion on this is, as a logistics guy, I nerd out on solving problems. And going in, this gives us the opportunity to review everything. Let's go back, take a look, and see what's important, what we need to be able to function as a state. Then we go and we invest in working on automation. We automate what we can within the state to make it to be able to reduce our cost. When we look at software, whether it's investments within that to be able to reduce cost also. The biggest thing here is with the budget shortfall, we have to put on our big boy pants and cut in areas that are probably going to hurt. And this is the times that we live in. Hard times call for hard choices, and we are here.
Thank you, Mr. Rackers.
I agree with Governor Kehoe. The state government has a spending problem, not a revenue problem. Just like in the 80s under Reagan, revenues increased tremendously, but it still couldn't keep up with Congress's spending. We need fiscally responsible leaders at the Capitol that will hold the line on once from every rep and senator and focus on the needs of the state and the most important things we need to be spending our hard-earned tax dollars on.
Mia?
Amendment.
One more.
Karen.
No problem. I've always handled the budget conservatively. During my terms as mayor, I oversaw the city's annual budget of over $60 million. In my first year, I vetoed the city budget because it included an increase in the city's gross receipts utilities tax and my belief that it was an unnecessary tax hike on families and businesses. My conservative approach to budgeting, cutting spending whenever possible while delivering results for our community was my goal. It is my strong belief that government should support, not stand in the way of businesses. When businesses succeed, they create jobs which strengthen our local economy and provide opportunities for families and communities.
Amendment 5 has sparked debate this election about its pros and cons for Missourians. What is your vision for the ideal tax model that would most benefit Missourians? We'll start with Vic.
And that, well, are you talking about, you want your answer on Amendment 5, or you want me to design a tax model? I'm always for reduced taxes and letting employees and the citizens of Missouri keep more of their hard-earned tax dollars. But I'm concerned about Amendment 5, that we don't know what's going to be taxed and at what rate, unfortunately. So for me, it's hard to support something that it's sort of like you pass it and then we'll determine what's in it. So I have definitely concerns about that. But I think I would like to reduce spending, to see the state government reduce spending and keep pushing the income tax rate down. But that's very difficult, and the government is not going to defund itself. So it's a hard thing. I think it's going to have to be redone, and it's going to have to be done and presented to the people, and more specifically for them to accept it and vote to approve it.
reforming Missouri's income tax could attract people and businesses to our state. However, the current proposal does not clearly spell out the exact future plan and costs associated with implementation. Many families are very concerned about the potential financial impact, especially with the increased sales tax. People are skeptical about whether this is a tax reduction or a tax swap. It is important that we elect leaders we trust. When I was mayor, we made sure that we were clear on exactly how legislation would affect people, and we were very open and clear, and we listened to the voice of the people in crafting our legislation. And businesses should also be at the table on how this could potentially impact them. Thank you.
So Amendment 5, the good thing about it is the people get to vote. And I will get behind whatever the people vote for it. My personal opinions on it is that I'm also very concerned about its implementation, the potential negative impacts that it may have on many of our citizens. And with that, there's no clearly defined guardrails, it seems, as to what the percentages may be on the taxes that are coming out, what we'll be paying. And so with that, I can't vote for something that I don't know what's in it. And so my personal opinion on it is no. But as I said, I can see the potential benefits there. And if we vote for it, I'll get behind it. But otherwise, currently I do not plan to vote for it.
That concludes our questions here in District 59. We'll start with the time for our closing statements. We'll start with you, Mr. Rackers.
Thank you. I'm a native of Cole County. I went to IC school and Jefferson City High School, and our kids went to Elias. My mom was from Taos, my dad was from Wardsville. We are invested in Cole County. We raised our kids here and want to protect it and protect it for them and our grandchildren. I encourage you to know your candidates. One of my opponents had the opportunity to stand for family values on the school board and keep boys out of girls' bathrooms, but he essentially took a pass and then nominated the current president who allowed it. We need someone who will take a stance. The other opponent led the council culture in Jefferson City and then had to be defeated in federal court to return the Price Memorial replica. She was also an advocate for masks and vaccines while mayor. I am unvaxxed with no regrets. Now she's trying to identify as a conservative Republican. I hope and believe the district voters will see right through that. I'm concerned were she to be elected, the county voters would be abandoned. I also think as a candidate, it's important to own your own home. Own your own home in the district. I plan to be an accessible, accountable advocate for a rural way of life. I had the opportunity to vote for Reagan and Trump 3 times. Thank you for your opportunity to participate this evening.
Mr. Reynolds.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor to be here, to be able to sit here in front of you, talk about issues, things that are concerning to our community. I choose to live here. I choose to invest here. I've built my business here, Central Missouri Power Wash. I'm raising my family here, and I want what's best for our community.
Can you speak up?
Hey, come on in. We have a couple seats up here.
We can't hear the people questioning, or they have to speak in their mics. It's not just over there.
I'll let you start over. Go ahead and you can project a little more.
Here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to be able to be here. I'm happy to be here, excited to be here, excited for where we live at. I live here in Cole County because I choose to. I've invested here in Cole County because I choose to. I have my business that I've started here, Central Missouri Power Wash. I started it 10 years ago. I raised my children here because we have the best schools here and the best community. My kids can be kids for the time they need to be. That's one of the things that I tell people throughout our community. And I want that for everyone. Everyone's kids. I want to set the next generation up for success so that they too can be productive members of our community. And so I ask for your vote on August 4th, and know that I will listen to what you have to say and fight for you at the Capitol. Thank you.
I'm running because I can make a valuable difference in the lives of citizens of the 59th District. I have a proven track record of rolling up my sleeves and getting the work done. Serving as mayor has given me knowledge, experience, and commitment to accomplish more for families and individuals in our district. People deserve to keep more of their hard-earned money and to live in safe communities. The next generation should find opportunities here to live, work, and raise their families in our communities. I'll work to cut government red tape, support families, farmers, businesses, and deliver results. And I have the proven experience to do it. I'm third generation here. My grandfather George came to this country as a young boy, and he said, in America, if you work hard, you can make a good living. My dad served in the U.S. Army. He loves this country. I want to carry on that tradition and work hard for you. I'm Carrie Turgeon. I ask for your vote for Missouri House District 59 on August 4th. Thank you.
A huge thank you to everybody listening at home, everybody here. We've got a great crowd in this room, and thank you to the candidates very much. I'm going to hand it over to Aaron while we bring up the candidates for the 16th district.
Oh, thank you.
Candidates for District 60 for the Republican primary shortly, but first I want to recognize the Democratic candidate is in the room for District 60. Suzanne Luther, please introduce yourself, or say hi. We will be back here in November with Suzanne against one of our three candidates who are here tonight. So I would like to introduce our candidates for State Representative District 60, former City Councilman Scott Spencer, Kira Johnson, and City Councilman Shane Campeter. We will begin with 1 minute opening statements. The timer is right here. I will get louder. I'm at like a level 5 right now. I will get to Mom Voice 10. If you go over the 1 minute mark, please do not make me do that. We will begin with Mr. Spencer.
Good evening, and thank you to the News Tribune, and thank you to the Jefferson City Chamber of Commerce and the Soybean Association for hosting us tonight, allowing us to speak, hopefully give some clarity on where we are within the issues and how we want to see our state move forward. My name is Scott Spencer. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Tisha Spencer, and we've been married for 30 years. She is a small business owner, owning a graphic design and marketing firm for over 30 years here in Jefferson City. So she understands the challenges that businesses and owners face every day. I also have two wonderful daughters, Riley and Addison Spencer. They both graduated from the Jefferson City Public School System. My oldest, Riley, is in her second year of her master's program pursuing music education. And my youngest is going to be a freshman at Mizzou, and she's entering her master's in architecture. I'm running for state representative just to represent you. I think it's time that government starts working for you. I think there's plenty of representatives.
Time.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't see the call.
It's okay. Okay.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Kira.
Hi everyone, I hope that you all can hear me. First, I'd like to thank God for being in this position. I am excited because I have spent over 20 years just serving across the United States. I lost my parents at a very young age to a homicide, suicide, and because of that, they gave me the opportunity to understand that I'm not the only person that's dealing with issues in our communities. Alongside that, I've spent 10 of those years working as a state employee, the last 3 as chief of staff and a state legislator. They gave me the opportunity to understand legislation, work across the aisle, and use these opportunities to help get good legislation passed so that I can help serve you best.
Councilman Campeter?
Good evening. My name is Shane Campeter. Born and raised here in Jeff City. Went to Lincoln University, graduated there. Then worked for the Missouri National Guard for 11 years, and then started my own small business here in town, Campeter Remodeling. I'm more of a doer than a talker, so I show you what I do. So everything, I'm also on city council, so everything that I vote on is for the city. Everything I do with my business is for the city. I love it, I live it, and I breathe it. Thank you.
Before we begin, I want to welcome Jake Crescent. He's taking my place on the panel for this slate, and he is from the Missouri Times. Thanks, Jake, for being here. We're going to start our first question from our state political reporter, Jeff Warnitsky.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for being here. So our first question, Amendment 3 on the November ballots would repeal the Right to Reproductive Freedom Initiative, prohibiting abortions other than for medical emergencies and fetal anomalies, as well as rape or incest through the first 12 weeks of gestation. So how do you feel abortions should be regulated in Missouri? And we'll start with Scott Spencer.
Yeah, I'm unapologetically 100% pro-life. Every life has inherent value, and I believe government has a responsibility to protect the most vulnerable among us. I oppose the current abortion ban because I believe it goes far beyond abortion. It opens the door to expanded abortion accesses while limiting the ability of Missourians through their elected representatives, and to enact reasonable protections for our unborn children and their mothers. So I will continue to support policies that protect life, provide resources for mothers and families, and encourage adoption and ensure women receive compassionate care. We should be building a culture that values life with mothers and children, and not one that treats abortion as the only answer and the only alternative.
Mrs. Johnson.
So I'm very much in support of Amendment 3. But what I'm most excited about is looking at what the legislature has already done. They've pushed for the expansion of more help when it comes to mothers, which is extending health care for them to be able to be treated. Those options are there. In addition to such, they've also allowed doulas to come in and give other options so that mothers cannot use abortion now as an excuse. We also have made some efforts here in Jefferson City to give mothers the option, if they don't want to be able, or if they're not able to take care of their children, they now have a place where they can help with, I think, our firefighters. They've opened up that position, and that way we do have the options now. And so I'm grateful for that.
Shane.
So I'm 100% pro-life. I will always protect our youth, our children, but we also need to look at other ways, like Scott said, adoption and fostering. So we've got to fight against ways that people are going to harm our children. And so I'm 100% pro-life, but we also need to help out with the foster, so there is that choice available, and it's a lot easier. It makes the decision to choose life easier.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Jake Crescent.
Candidates, thank you for being here. The foundation formula for education did not receive a full funding from the state budget this year, and lawmakers utilized one-time funds to address the shortfall. What will you do, if elected, to ensure funding for school districts as Missouri faces future budget deficits?
We will begin with Kiera.
Awesome. I believe that every child deserves a firm foundation. The state legislator has pushed really hard to give parents an option. As working as a chief of staff, I saw a lot of individuals come into the offices complaining about their children being bullied or having to homeschool their children and facing really hard issue when it came to their school district. Right now we have a lot of options, and I think that that's something that's important, that will help our children, it'll help sustain them. And also we have a lot of schools that are teaching to the test. That is hurtful, because a lot of students get bypassed and we need better options. I think that in itself will be able to help decrease the deficit that we have and push us in a better direction.
Shane?
Yeah, so when we base our budget on unstable metrics that fund our schools, like casinos and gambling revenue, we're going to pay the cost when those sources don't meet expectations. We also need to look at how these schools are spending that money. One example, and it's a good example, is Lincoln University here. It's just built their new building that is going to create opportunities for nursing and public safety here in Jeff City. So it's going to support future nurses, future public safety is what we need. So I think the accountability of how that money is being spent, then we're also going to have to make those hard cuts. Look at expenses that we can cut back on.
Scott?
Yeah, thank you. As it relates to what Shane was referencing with the LU investment, that was done with city ARPA funds. And we realized that a one-time investment in our local university would pay benefits not only for our public safety, but our nursing and our surrounding hospitals. So I'm glad that I was a part of that decision. You know, education is one of the state's most important responsibilities, and we need to have an obligation to fund it responsibly. But simply spending more money isn't always the answer. Taxpayers deserve transparency and accountability for every education dollar. We should ensure funding that reaches the classroom and supports teachers and gives the students the tools that they need to succeed. I also believe parents should remain the primary decision maker in the children's education. Strong public schools, charter schools, private schools, and home schools are good competition and they support each other. So I'll work to ensure education funding is sustainable and transparent and focused on improving the outcomes, not growing bureaucracy.
Thank you all. Back to Jack for the next question.
All right. Our next question. So the latest attempt to reinstate Missouri's Second Amendment Preservation Act failed in the 2026 legislative session. So would you support the law being reinstated in its original form to prohibit certain federal firearm regulations in Missouri? And we'll start with Shane Campeter on this one.
Yeah, so I definitely support defending our constitutional right to bear arms. We have to be able to protect ourselves. We have to be able to use it for sporting events. We have to be able to use it for hunting. We do need to look at the legislation to make sure it's constitutionally aligned so that our gun rights will remain secure.
Scott?
Thank you. I strongly support the Second Amendment right. I've received the highest candidate rating for AQ from the NRA. And every law-abiding citizen and constitutional right should keep and bear arms. But the Second Amendment Preservation Act was passed because many Missourians felt and believed that they were being infringed upon by the federal government. And while the courts are continuing to determine the legal framework of SAPA, my position will be clear, and I will always defend the constitutional rights of Missourians, and while ensuring that law enforcement has the tools and resources to keep our community safe, and we don't have to choose between public safety and our constitutional freedoms. We can have good policy for both.
Thank you. Kiera?
So I absolutely support. I enjoy being able to go and buy guns and do that happily. And I think that we should be able to have that in Missouri. But I tell you, as if you elect me as a legislator, you've seen some of the things that have happened, which are carve-outs like St. Louis and Jackson County, that they've made these different options for them. And so as a state legislator, I would make sure that we would fight for this regardless, that I would speak for you on the floor and advocate if there is something that is going to happen where we are not able to use our guns federally, that we will try our best to make our carve-outs and things like that, or make amendments so that we can make sure that we can continue to preserve our Second Amendment rights.
Thank you all. Back to Jake for the next question.
Governor Kehoe appropriated $15 million in the state budget for Jefferson City's new conference center. Do you feel the building of the project is a worthwhile investment that will benefit the city's residents? First to Scott.
Yes, I do, because when I served on the council and public works chair, I heard continuously the problems with parking in downtown. And I think our state government should make an investment in our community based on that, because they share the burden. And they should recognize that during January to May, that they contribute to the parking problem downtown. So I just want to make clear that the Governor Kehoe's investment is in the parking garage, not in the total concept of the conference center and the hotel. So yes, I think it is a good partnership between government, and look forward to seeing how that will relieve some of the parking pressure downtown for constituents to be able to go and visit and do business at the Capitol.
Akira.
So, as a conservative, I do believe that we should make sure that when it comes to giving money to cities, that we should limit that. And having this conference center, it is important, but I don't think that right now, though, that's something that Jefferson City really wanted. They needed parking spaces. And so I don't think that we should simply rely on the government to give us handouts. If that is something that we truly want, we should be able to work together to push our funds and make sure that we work hard in order to fund the things that we truly want. And had we done that and phased that out as far as adding money, I think we would have been in a better position to afford something like this.
Shane.
I think it's a wonderful investment with the city and a great joint work with the state. State governments all around us, the Capitol's all here, and there's no parking. So the state has seen that, and they use that parking garage more than the residents of Jeff City do. And so that's why they have given us the $15 million to put into the parking garage. And so now there's going to be parking available for the residents of Jeff City, for the state, and for everybody that comes and visits.
Thank you all. The next few questions were submitted by readers of the Jefferson City News Tribune. I'm going to turn it over to Mia for those questions, and we will begin the first one with Kiera.
How important is it to continue public and private partnership to make childcare more accessible and affordable, like the recently enacted Child Care Works initiative?
Wow, that's a big question. Can you repeat that?
Yes. How important is it to continue public and private partnerships to make childcare more accessible and affordable, like the recently enacted Child Care Works initiative?
Again, I think that this is something that our community should be able to do. We've had a lot of issues with DESE, and it has played a horrific role. We, again, when we are asking for money for our state legislator, I would say $500,000. We could spread that money across and make sure that we are supporting efforts for our community. That's a tough decision, but I think if we work together, we can make that decision appropriately.
Shane.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Of course. How important is it to continue public and private partnerships to make childcare more accessible and affordable, like the recently enacted Child Care Works initiative?
Yeah, so I think it's definitely, anything with education is important. Private funds, public funds, like was said earlier, we have several options. You have homeschooling, you have private education, and you have public education. So there's a pro school choice there. You can pick what you want. I think we need to continue. We definitely need to find all different ways to fund education and support whatever we can do to continue our growth of our children.
Scott.
Okay, I think the community, especially our Jefferson City Chamber, has led the effort on the daycare crisis that we have in our community. During the tornado, we lost our only 24-hour daycare center in our community, which was heavily relied on for people working second and third shifts in our industries across the city. I think public and private partnerships should always be cautiously implemented. We always need to ask, hey, what is the ROI, return on investment, and making sure that those dollars are transparent and accountable. But daycare is a major concern with parents deciding if they want to grow their family, expand their family. So I think we have a community responsibility to make sure we can support that infrastructure. But I think our employers need to have a little bit more skin in the game instead of relying solely on government all the time.
Thank you. We have one final reader question, and we will start with Shane for this next one.
Amendment 5 has sparked debate this election about its pros and cons for Missourians. What is your vision for the ideal tax model that would most benefit Missourians?
So I'm definitely in favor of a real tax reform, keeping that money in hardworking families' pockets. The problem with Amendment 5 is you don't know what you're voting on. It's got 5 years open-ended, and that's what the legislator gets to decide. We don't know if it's actually going to reduce tax or if it's going to be a swap of tax from one type to a different type. It's going to be, it's hard for hardworking small business owners, retirees, people on a fixed income to be able to predict what's going to happen and how it's going to affect them. And for that reason, out knocking doors, there's, this is going to a vote for the people. And in Jeff City, I will say it's a hard no. And so I support everybody for that reason.
Thank you. Scott, you're next.
I support lowering taxes, and that means not just only income taxes, but sales taxes, personal property taxes, real estate taxes. Amendment 5 is just open-ended legislation. It's bad policy. When we're asked to vote on a constitutional amendment, it needs to be narrowly focused and well-defined. And I'm on my second pair of tennis shoes knocking on doors, and it's I could tell on both of my hands that people are supporting it. It's overwhelmingly not popular because it's uncertain. And if we want to be, Governor Kehoe says we've got to modernize our tax system, but I think we also have to be innovative. And being innovative is looking at something that's different than versus Florida, Texas, and Tennessee. I think we ought to give the power and the authority and the ability to choose how we want to fund our government by allowing us to decide if we want to stay in the income tax model or go to a flat tax and consumption tax model. Hey, this is a unique perspective. We'd be the only state in the United States proposing this proposal, so hopefully, maybe I can expand on it later tonight if you have questions on it.
Thank you. Kiera.
If we're going to phase out the state income tax, we have to do it responsibly. My vision has never been just about cutting taxes. It's about rebuilding Missouri's middle class. That means taking a hard look at our budget, our state budget, reducing waste and fraud, strengthening trade, education, apprenticeships, and workforce development, while creating a pipeline to good-paying careers. As more Missourians earn higher wages, more families can achieve financial independence. My goal isn't to take help away from the people who truly need it. My goal is to help people reach a point where they no longer need assistance because they've been given the opportunity to succeed. These efforts can happen alongside a gradual phase out of the income tax. We should move forward only when Missouri can afford it while protecting working families, seniors, and essential services.
Thank you. Time. That concludes our questions for the District 60 panel. We are going to close with closing statements, and we will begin with Shane for your closing statement.
All right. Again, Shane Campeter, I would appreciate your vote on August 4th. I'm here to work for the citizens of Jeff City. Again, lifelong resident of Jeff City. My biggest thing is I want to fight for Jeff City. I truly love it. I've got three kids over the age of 15 that are all going to be small business owners here in Jeff City, and I feel like that's the reason. That's one of the reasons that pushed me to run for this. Is I want to make Jeff City better for the people coming here, the people that are here, and just to continue the growth of Jeff City.
Kiera.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for Jefferson City. I'm most grateful about being able to understand the experience in working in the legislature. The clock is ticking from day one. We only have around 5 months in order to get legislation passed. With that being said, I've worked in a position to be able to best serve you, to be able to vote on the issues that you've asked me to vote for. I ask that you put me in this position because I truly care, because it's not about a title for me. It's not about increasing and talking about something that I want personally. It's about understanding what you want and making sure that Jefferson City has everything that it needs.
Mr. Spencer?
Okay. Thank you again for being here tonight. If given an opportunity to represent you, I want to fight for you because I believe it's time that a state representative works for you year-round, not just during the legislative session from January to May, but all year round. I think the question you have to ask yourself is who's going to be able to do that. Who's going to fight for you? Who's going to fight to lower costs? Who's going to fight to protect your constitutional rights? Who's going to fight to protect your family values here in Cole County, in Jefferson City? Look, we're the seat of state government. We need to be able to represent our community. It's time for the state to invest in our community. We have some crisis down the, facing us, not only in a budget crisis, but we have an education crisis. We have a utility markets crisis. So I want to be able to fight for you on those issues, and I'd be honored to have your vote on August 4th. Thank you very much.
I have a question. I'd like to say something to that. I would like to also.
I don't think we are allowing rebuttals. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll let
It's
you
in
all
the
know
script.
when we get there.
Hey, I just want to know, I did not go rogue here, just for the record. Everybody saw that, right? Okay. Thank you to our District 60 candidates panel. Thank you so much.
Here, we're going to bring up our Senate District 6 candidates. Kelton, you're going to get them mic'd up. It'll take us just a second. We've got to grab another chair or two, but the Senate candidates, come on up to the front here. While they're doing that, I want to recognize someone that's here, the Democratic candidate for the last state legislative district we were discussing, Suzanne Luther. Suzanne, would you stand up? Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We hope Suzanne will be back here in the fall to debate the winner. Need to grab Daniel. Could we have your chair? Daniel, would you mind? Could we have your chair?
Kick Daniel out of it.
Kelton, you want to mic? You'll have to walk over there and do it. We'll kill time. Former Representative Lisa Thomas, former City Councilman Derek Spicer, and Jake Vogel, thank you all very much for being here. And we're going to get right into this with our opening statements. We need somebody to talk loud, Ike, so we'll have you go first.
All right, very good. Good evening. Thank you for having me here. My name is Todd Isaac Skelton. My dad never called me Todd. My mom never called me Isaac unless I was in trouble. My dad introduced me to a lot of people as Ike. I've used that name well before I ever got into politics. So my name is Ike Skelton. I grew up in rural Missouri. I graduated from Herman High School. I joined the United States military directly out of high school, served 8 years. I've had a lot of different jobs in my life. My last one was as a locksmith. I've been a corrections officer, family services, child support enforcement, and for a long time, about 15 years, I've been an activist fighting in Jefferson City for the Constitution, for small government, and for limited government and less spending. I will continue to do those things, and I absolutely support conservative traditional values. I'd appreciate your vote August 4th in the Republican primary for State Senate District Number 6. Thank you.
Thank you. And like I said, we'll have the clock here a minute. We'll keep it pretty close to that. Next, Jake Vogel.
Thank you for being here tonight, everyone. Thanks, Scott. I'd like to first and foremost introduce my wife, Maria. We've been married for 7 years now and 3 beautiful children, and she's the rock of the family and my largest endorsement today, so thank you. I was born and raised in Jefferson City, Missouri. Graduated Jefferson City High School, then went to college. 9/11 happened my freshman year and had a profound impact on my life. Therefore, I chose to enlist after graduating college and joined the U.S. Army. Ended up at 1st Ranger Battalion, Savannah, Georgia, 75th Ranger Regiment. And I was an assault sniper, so I protected our ground force on the ground, did 4 active combat tours. Then I came home and I'm blessed to have a day job and family business. We're a 5th generation Coca-Cola franchisee, and I say that with pride because we must be doing something right to be around this long. We're surrounded by corporate, so I have an knack for taking care of people and creating relationships, and that's the mentality I want to bring to the Missouri Senate to make Missouri a better place to live, work, and raise a family. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Spicer.
First of all, thank you, Scott. Thanks to the News Tribune. My name is Derek Spicer. I would be honored to have the opportunity to serve as your next state senator. I'm not a political insider. I grew up in Jefferson City. I was an Army brat. My dad was in the Army. I was born in Fort Sill, Lawton, Oklahoma. I've been here my whole life. You know, I'm not a part of the establishment here. Everything I have is what I worked for all my life. I'm a small business owner who built my whole life, you know, coming up. But am running because I want to reduce the size of government. I want to reduce the tax burden, ensure families are able to thrive. Thank you.
Dr. Thomas.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Dr. Lisa Thomas. I'm actually a psychiatrist by trade, but I have been in the House of Representatives. I'm a lifelong Missourian, a Christian constitutional conservative Republican, Trump supporter, and I would love to be the next senator from District 6. And as you probably already know, that covers Miller, Morgan, Montauk, Camden, and Cole counties. I live in Camden County with my 2 rescue dogs, and again, mid-Missouri is just the greatest place to be. So I'm so glad to see the turnout from this area. And again, thank you for being here. My platform is very simple: liberty, safety, prosperity, and transparency. I'm all about making sure that we have fiscally responsible government, transparent and accountable. We need to make multiple changes. We have a spending problem. We're going to hear all about that tonight. We need to be just basically take care of people. I own the healthcare space. I am a physician. That is something that is critical. It's a nonpartisan issue. It touches everyone. So does boating and water safety, something I'm a champion for. And I just want to see everybody survive and thrive. Government needs to stay in its little box and let everybody individually, with their families and with their businesses, live their lives. So I would love your vote and your support in August. Thank you very much.
Representative Veet.
I'm Rudy Veet. I'm running for state senate as a Republican, and I was raised here in Jeff City, raised on a small farm near St. Thomas. I've been a graduate of Blair Oaks. I've been a graduate of the University of Missouri Agriculture Economics, and I've also been a graduate of the University School of Law. I'm married to Jerry Veet. We have 4 children and 8 grandchildren. We have 5 grandchildren between the ages of 15 and 18, and they're all in school and working. Work is part of our lives. I bring something that everyone else, that none of the other candidates can really bring, is I have a lot of experience. As a trial lawyer, I spent my time defending constitutional rights, representing people who've been injured, representing companies when someone was sued. I also bring 8 years in the legislature. I can read the bills, and I read the bills, and I stand up to authority of other leadership. And I have the endorsements in this case already of Blaine Luchtemar, Willard Haley, Representative Dave Griffith, Senator Mike Bernschkutter, Sheriff's Association, NRA, a rating A, and every public school has endorsed me. Every public school organization has endorsed me, and so has Larry Robach, a senator who previously served here in years past. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For our first question, we'll go to Jack Wardynski.
All right, great. Thank you guys again for being here. So our first question is going to be about Amendment 3. Amendment 3 on the November ballot would repeal the Right to Reproductive Freedom Initiative, prohibiting abortions other than for medical emergencies and fetal anomalies, as well as rape or incest through the first 12 weeks of gestation. How do you feel abortion should be regulated in Missouri? And we will start with Ike Skelton with this question.
Thank you. You know, I've had the opportunity to lobby for pro-life, advance pro-life my entire time that I've been involved in politics in any capacity. I've attended the Midwest March for Life, the first one, and actually worked with Representative Mike Moon to get personhood passed in the House. If we got personhood passed, abortion wouldn't be a question anymore. It would simply be illegal. But the Missouri legislature won't pick that up now. If I'm the Missouri legislature, I will continue to work on that. As far as Amendment 3 is concerned, you know, right now our Constitution allows for unfettered abortion. And unfortunately, Amendment 3, the new one, will still allow for some abortion. I'll be honest with you, I'm still torn. I'm not quite sure what I'll do. I hate to be put in this position. And as a majority in the House and the Senate and the governor of Republicans, supposedly conservative, we shouldn't have to be making this choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Skelton. Jake.
Amendment 3 is an easy one for me. We're a Christian family, actually a hybrid household. I grew up Baptist. My wife is Catholic. We have 3 beautiful children. So I am pro-life 100%. I'm actually the only candidate in this race that has been endorsed by Missouri Right to Life. That's an honor for me. I take pride in that. It's my job in the Missouri Senate to get across the finish line and protect life as much as I can. Amendment 3, the political reality is that, and if you don't support Amendment 3, I pray that it passes. If you do not support Amendment 3, right now we are currently in it's open season for abortion, transgenderism, etc. I don't think most of the Missouri constituency is come on board with late-term abortion and also child mutilation. So I hope you support our family in supporting Amendment 3 and pray that it passes as we do.
Councilman Spicer.
Yes. I'm 100% pro-life. I fully support Amendment 3. Thank you.
Dr. Thomas.
I'm a physician, obviously a woman. Nobody in this room has any questions about men and women. And I am pro-life. I support Amendment 3. I think it's a great place to start to bring back from the unfettered, no restrictions on abortion that we have right now. So I support Amendment 3. Great step in the right direction.
Representative Veet.
I support Amendment 3. I'm a Catholic and I have my own personal views on abortion. I think Amendment 3 doesn't go far enough, but I know from a political standpoint, we have to work to make the least amount of abortions we can get. And I also don't just support anti-abortion. I am a big supporter of Pregnancy Help Center and VTA. We have to protect these children and give people alternatives. There are other parts of Amendment 3 that also are important. One is the providing regulations so abortions are done in a safe environment, and regulations so that we don't have just anybody out there doing abortions, regulations protecting the consent of children so young children just don't go in and get an abortion because some doctors are willing to do it. We also have provisions in there for changes on children, sex changes now to people under 18 prohibits that. I was on the judiciary when that was done the last time, and we heard it, and no credible doctor I know will do a sex change on someone under 18 years of age. But I believe I'm not only against abortion, we need to fight to give mothers the alternative.
Thank you very much. Next question comes from Aaron Shrimp.
Yes. The foundation formula for funding public school districts in the state did not receive full funding in this year's fiscal budget, and the General Assembly utilized one-time funds to address shortfalls. What is your position on fully funding the state foundation formula? And as Missouri faces budget deficits, and what would you do if elected?
Start with Jake Vogel.
I believe the reality of the current formula was created over 20 years ago by a court order. Too many changes have been layered on year after year to this formula, making the formula hard to keep pace and function efficiently as things have evolved, and a lot of exemptions are in it, etc. Different schools are valued differently in this current formula, so I think it's imperative that we dig in and listen to the commission as they bring stuff to the legislature and their ideas, and keep open communication and dialogue to further better the formula and make sure our public the education formula is funded. I was actually rather displeased that it wasn't fully funded this year, to be quite honest. I want to take a business lens again to the Missouri Senate, and just like how I have to run a business and the 4 generations before me, and manage a budget and OpEx, payroll, healthcare, et cetera. How I look at a lens in a business perspective, that's what I bring to the table. I think we should do due diligence and make sure we have a quality education formula, and that's top notch, so our children can succeed to be future leaders of the state.
Mr. Spicer.
I would cut wasteful spending in programs like Medicaid and free up funding for priorities like education. Thank you.
Dr. Thomas.
Well, and I'd agree, we have, again, a spending problem, not a budgeting problem, but there are definite difficulties with the funding formula, and I think the foundation formula, I think we need to restructure it. Money should follow the child, not the bureaucrat. And again, just putting a coat of paint on an old dilapidated house doesn't make that house any better. So we need to restructure our system and the foundation formula. But we want to support education, obviously, but we have to know what we're getting, have accountability, transparency, and like I said, money should follow the child.
Representative Veet.
Schools are no different than any other business. We made a promise to them that we would fund the foundation formula. They then set up the school system, hire the teachers and students and additional expenses, and then they expect to be paid, and we suddenly cut it back. That is not right. You may not agree with the foundation formula, but what is there you deal with. You change it if you don't like it, and that's easier said than done. We have a committee studying that, and some people want more money in St. Louis, some want rural schools, and so getting consensus on that is not easy. But if you don't like the formula, change it. Don't promise people we're going to pay you. The schools make the investment and then not do it. We have good schools, and there's not a school in my district that someone, if they and their parents want a good education, cannot get a good education. It's easy to say, oh, schools aren't doing their job and that stuff, but I see a lot of good schools. And also if we're so short on money, why do we give $100 million for a few select kids to go to a private school? And the corporations who manage that picked off $10 million off the top as their fair share. It doesn't make sense to me. Public education is the backbone of economic growth, and for our children, we need to protect it.
Mr. Skelton.
Decades ago, Missourians decided that we wanted to have a good basic education for all of our children from K through 12. And I believe that we should continue to do that. However, we spend billions of dollars on our education today, and it seems as though our scores are going down. Our teachers aren't getting nearly enough pay. I believe we need to really look at the bureaucracy that is around our education system and see where we can trim some of those things down so that we can put the money down in our schools where they need to be. I believe that we are testing our children way too much. I believe that we are monetizing those children through the way that we test them. And I think we need to return back to a very basic education so that our children, every single one of them, will have the opportunity when they graduate high school to determine whether they wanted to go to a trade or into a university or maybe just go home and be a mom or a dad. So I believe we need to really look at some of those things. We need to find out where the money is going. How long has it been since DESE in our school system has been audited? I'm not quite sure, but maybe we need to look at that first.
Thank you very much. Jack, for the next question.
All right, for our next question, the latest attempt to reinstate Missouri's Second Amendment Preservation Act, or SAPA, failed in the 2026 legislative session. Would you support the law being reinstated in its original form to prohibit certain federal firearm regulations in Missouri? We will start with Mr. Spicer on this one.
I support the Second Amendment. I graduated from LETI in 2000. I'm a big gun guy, always have been. I believe Missouri needs to be proactive in defending our rights against overreaching federal government. I would vote in favor of SAPA.
Dr. Thomas.
Again, I support the Second Amendment, and I think it's very simple. Shall not be infringed. Pretty clear about that. I think SAPA is necessary. It is something that is actually critical to our most vulnerable populations, women and the elderly, the frail. who can easily be overwhelmed by a stronger, larger perpetrator. And we need the great equalizer to be armed. We need to be able to defend ourselves. So I'm definitely for the Second Amendment Preservation Act.
Representative Veet.
I am pro Second Amendment also. That doesn't mean that every bill that deals with guns has to be one I agree to. First off, the Second Amendment Preservation Act was declared unconstitutional, so the new one came out. And it has certain provisions, and that's what you look at all these bills. Look at the collateral consequences, not just the one-liners. A retired military man would have a hard time, including our local representative, Jim Schulte, to go to work in the police department because of some of the language in there that they have about penalty if they were ex-government employee. Representative Schulte had proposed another bill which I co-sponsored, which did some of this stuff, but took away some of the civil liability. If they have $50,000 fine for this, $50,000 fine for that, attorney's fees, and just opening up the law enforcement officers to an extensive amount of unnecessary litigation, and we have a hard time getting law enforcement. You can enforce the law, make sure they don't violate the law, but there are mechanisms to do it without starting all these civil lawsuits. And lawyers need to make a living, but there's a limit to how much they ought to make a living on. So, suing the police department over an officer doing the right thing is not the way to start. Thank you.
Commissioner Skelton.
I had the opportunity to help the grassroots get the Second Amendment Preservation Act passed the first time. As a matter of fact, I also had the opportunity of help the author of that particular piece of legislation build his first AR-15. So I'm very intimate with this. I believe the Second Amendment is sacrosanct. It shall not be infringed. Absolutely means exactly that. I also believe that we need to work on making sure that red flag laws do not get put back into our laws anywhere. We need to prevent those. And I will absolutely author the same version of the Second Amendment Preservation Act with the fixes that need to be done. I'd be honored to do that. I would work on it very hard and again make sure that our Second Amendment rights are absolutely one of the first things that cannot ever be challenged and abused. And also, with the way it was with the penalties, when are we going to start holding office holders and bureaucrats responsible for violating our rights?
Mr. Vogel.
Same thing goes hand in hand with me. I would fully support and vote for it if I was in the legislature. I shot guns for 5 years and defended our folks overseas. Actually, my wife was annoyed because first year of marriage, I slept with my rifle right next to under the bed, and we had to move it away so I wouldn't trip on. Now we have a lot of kids, so it's high and hidden. But anyhow, the reason why SAFE is around is so we can protect against a future maybe more democratic administration. And obviously when they get happy and gun happy and triggery and they want to come take your guns, we have some protections because it's our job, being a conservative Missouri Republican in the Senate, to protect our Second Amendment rights. Thou shalt not be infringed.
Thank you very much. Aaron?
Governor Kehoe appropriated $15 million in the latest fiscal year state budget for the parking garage that will be connected to Jefferson City's Conference Center development. Do you feel the building is a worthwhile state investment that will benefit Jefferson City and surrounding area residents?
Dr. Thomas.
I have some questions about that appropriation. When I first heard that there was going to be a conference center and where it was located, I was really surprised. Seems a small space, and I tend to think of conference centers as having parking and the ability to move around. Seems like Jeff City has some available real estate that might be redeveloped, and certainly there's some open ground as well. So I had concerns about the location, and again, seems like a pet project, which is a problem. We do have a spending problem with our government and picking winners and losers and saying this particular project but not that one. Again, I would have had significant concerns about that, and so I mean it's a done deal. I was not there, but I'm not thrilled with that one.
Representative Veet.
Brady, I think your mic.
Oh.
Kelton will appreciate that. Well, I'd take a big round of applause for our guy Kelton, who's running the board tonight. Thank you very much. I have no idea what all those cables are, all the stuff he has over there. I just trust he does, and I'm glad he does. I want to also thank the Soybean Association again for having us. This terrific spot. It looks big. We're going to have to go out in the foyer in the fall. Representative Veet?
That $15 million is just not for the benefit of Jeff City. We as a government involved with a lot of different cities and that on economic development. More importantly is what they don't realize is we have a Senate garage that is starting to crumble down. It's going to need to be replaced. We have a House garage that's going to be coming down and need to replace. We don't have a place for them to go, and as a part of the thinking is we can use that garage some when we're doing the construction at the rest of the buildings at the Capitol. More importantly is the Capitol is a great, beautiful building. We want tourism, state grant benefits from tourism. Who goes visit the Capitol now when you can't park there? You got to have access in that. So it's an economic boom not only for the Jefferson City, but it's also very important for the role that our Capitol, what it stands for. Why have such a beautiful, beautiful building and not have access to it?
Commissioner Skelton.
So I don't really, considering we have a spending problem, spending $15 million so this is a garage or what have you attached to the convention center might not be that great of an idea. But having been an activist for many years, I understand the parking problem around the Capitol, and I definitely don't like parking tickets. So it would probably be a good idea if the government wanted to just simply build a parking garage for folks that are visiting the Capitol. I think it should be a standalone project. But I first think we need to get our spending under control. We definitely need to deal with our capital improvements. That's one of the biggest problems that government has. We have to deal with the buildings that we have. They're your buildings, and we need to make sure they're maintained. But we definitely need to have a place for folks to come and visit the Capitol, to lobby their legislators, to look at what they're doing, make sure they're doing things transparently. I could maybe support a parking garage around the Capitol, but attached to a convention center, I think that's probably up for private business to do.
Mr. Vogel.
I'm in full support of the conference center. In the short amount of time I've been doing this, for a year I've been down to Margaritaville, so they have one at the lake, and everyone goes down there and they're getting economic activity, and that's in our district, so I'm pleased that they have that. But I'm from Jeff City, we need a little bit of that too. We have so many associations, groups, and businesses coming to the Capitol for work. We've been kicking this can around for years. Since I've been a little kid, they've been talking about conference centers. And now that the community's matched up with the state on this match, I'm all for it. Again, any chance for prosperity, economic activity, and growth, and with the parking garage on top that we don't have in downtown Jefferson City, yes, I support it. Let's look for now into the future and quit talking about it, kicking it down the road.
Mr. Spicer.
If I'd been in office, I would have voted no on the $15 million. Taxpayers should not be asked to spend money to build a parking structure for a hotel. It's wasteful. Conference centers don't make money, and taxpayers are going to be paying for this facility for decades. I worry about that. It's going to quickly turn into an expensive homeless shelter. Thank you.
Now we're going to take a couple questions, one from our readers and one from some of the members of the Jefferson City Chamber of Commerce. Jake, we'll start with you.
Candidates, thank you again for being here tonight. How important is it to continue public-private partnerships to make childcare more accessible and more affordable, like the recent enacted Child Care Works initiative? First off to Representative Veet.
Well, child care is very important if you want economic growth and so people can work. I've actually visited some of the child care facilities, and they're not full because they cannot hire enough workers and they don't pay enough to hire the workers. So they're in a kind of a bind because if they pay more, then the rates go up and people can't afford child care now. But we need to have child care and be jointly encourage it because our workforce is continuing to shrink, and it's very important now the way our society is set up. It's mainly two people working both to support our children and that and all things. And so child care is important, but it's gotten so expensive that if we don't do something, a lot of people are going to get out of the workforce.
Commissioner Skelton.
So once again, we've gone to the government to fix a problem that the government kind of created. If you look at the regulations in daycare and what it takes to actually get licensed and all of the hoops that you have to jump through, it makes it very, very difficult. And during COVID is what really hurt an awful lot of our daycare centers and basically ran them out of business. We need to look at the problems that the government has created in this field instead of trying to figure out how the taxpayer should subsidize the problems that the government has created. And why in the world would taxpayers pay for a facility within a corporation so that they can have a daycare center. That should be a private expenditure. And again, if we get rid of the regulations, or at least relook at them and make it easier for an individual to have a daycare operation, I think this problem will solve itself. Not everything needs to be fixed by government. Mostly, government is the problem.
Yeah, I don't think it's definitely a need. I see it on a day-to-day basis with the folks I work with. They have to go home and watch a sick child, and I understand childcare is so expensive now. But at the same time, we can't saddle the taxpayers with childcare. I mean, I think for most of the constituency in this room, this is not your problem. But for the younger generations, we need to take a look at it and find folks that are in private business, and whether it's incentivized grants or whatever the legislature comes up with to talk to these people, it's got to be private investment. And whatever types of grants or incentivization we can do, I'm all for looking at those options. But it is a problem. But yeah, we can't just put it on the state's tab.
Mr. Spicer.
Well, it isn't the job of the state government to pay for daycare.
Dr. Thomas.
I would agree. The state has a limited function, and we should not be paying for daycare. There are some innovative programs out there. Certainly, corporations can pay for their own child care. Hospitals and big business does that all the time. Smaller groups can form consortiums. The university in the past has had an experimental school. They provide daycare. They're training folks at the same time. I mean, that's a win-win, but that's not taxpayers directly funding daycare. So we definitely need to look at the issue, but there's a lot of creative solutions out there. And again, we're the show me state. We can figure it out. We should lead the country in virtually everything, but daycare is one of those. It shouldn't be put on the taxpayer, so the government needs to stand out of the way. If we do have grants and incentivized programs, we need to, if we're going to do such a thing, we darn well better do that right. We do not want leering centers where there's fraud and abuse, and you've got, a nice building, nice sign, misspelled, but no kids. So we've got to watch that waste, fraud, and abuse.
And the final question comes from the readers of the News Tribune. Amendment 5 has sparked debate this election about its pros and cons for Missourians. What is your vision for the ideal tax model that would most benefit Missourians? Commissioner Skelton, we'll begin with you.
So I'm kind of a student of the National Neil Boortz fair tax. So if you want to look at this model that 5 is kind of working on, then it's not that. Amendment 5 is absolutely a let's pass it to see what's in it. I'm totally opposed to Amendment 5. But I don't necessarily believe that income tax shouldn't be reduced. And oh, by the way, the government can do that right now without your permission. What they need permission to do is to be able to raise your taxes, and that's what they're asking for in Amendment 5. I would look at eliminating the personal property tax first. Could you imagine if each one in this room didn't have to pay for your car every year, your cows if you have them, chickens, motorcycles, boats, and so forth? I think that would be one of the quickest things that would put money actually back into the pockets of Missourians above anything else. I believe it would spur an awful lot of economic growth organically instead of something that is subsidized by the government. So that's kind of my tax thoughts.
Mr. Vogel.
It's really easy in this day and age to say no, no, no. And I'm not going to beat my chest and tell you folks how to vote one way or the other. That I encourage you to do due diligence on Amendment 5. But as I've done due diligence, a lot of people have said, well, I don't trust the legislature carte blanche with open tax season and just it's free for all. Well, I don't trust them either. And the reason why is they've had 100 years to try to lower our property taxes. And this bill, in my opinion, is guardrails. I'm all about hope and chance and optimism for a better Missouri to be competitive. I want to know the plan. This is a plan. It may not be perfect, but I'm going to support it because we've had 16 congressional seats. We're down to 8. We're stagnant in population, stagnant in jobs and economic activity. Everyone's moving. I can't compare us to Texas and Florida. I understand that, but Tennessee's booming. A rising tide floats all boats. And I'm not going to turn Central Missouri into Manhattan either, but something to provide for children and grandchildren one day for the future, and now I'll support it.
Mr. Spicer.
I'm voting for Amendment 5 because our tax system is outdated and it's time to update it. Missouri's economy is stagnant, and states without an income tax are creating jobs left and right. Thank you.
Dr. Thomas.
As a Republican, I certainly would like to see elimination, or at least reduction, if not elimination, of most, if not all, taxes. That'd be great, but we can't just do that by fiat, and we also definitely need a plan. We're the show me state. I want details. Show me what you're going to do. This is a shell of a bill in 5, and it's not possible to pass something to find out what's in it. I don't trust the legislature. There aren't guardrails, so we would need to know, if this is your plan, tell me the details. It's not there. It's an easy no. And again, we have a spending problem. Let's get that under control. Let's claw back that waste, fraud, and abuse. Suddenly our coffers would be much more full than they are now, and that would change the calculus. And then let's look at taxing options, fair tax, flat tax, whatever, but let's get our coffers full. There's a lot of ways to do that, and no on 5.
Representative V.
Nobody hates taxes any more than I do, but you know what I hate worse than taxes? It's passing my debt down to my kids and grandkids. It's easy to eliminate every tax out there, but someone we have to have money to operate on. Amendment 5, I was one of the 3 Republicans who voted no on it because I read the bill. I studied the bill. I don't need somebody to tell me what's in it. I have that ability. First off, why would you want to give up your constitutional protections for unlimited taxes on everything, sales tax, from getting a haircut to take your child to daycare or your dog to the vet? Why would you want to give that up? It also got rid of the Hancock Amendment. But there are other problems with the bill, even if you agree with the concept. For one is, it says they shall pass a sales tax. What happens if we don't? We got a Republican legislator. What if they don't pass sales tax? The Constitution says you shall. What happens to, if we pass a tax reduction this year, it says you also, a sales tax increase, we should also reduce the income tax the same year. What happens if we pass it on the last day? What happens in 5 years? There's so much open. It's like telling a farmer, deliver your cows to us and we'll pay you a fair price. Well, just trust me. I've been in the legislature. My trust isn't that great.
Thank you, Representative. Now, before we do our closing statements, I want to thank again everyone for being here. I want to thank the Mayor of Jefferson City for coming. Very glad to have you, sir. You know it's a big deal when James Harris is here. Thank everyone watching at home and especially coming out. Well in advance, we'll have one of these booked for the fall. We'll have our Republican, the winner of this debate, and the Democratic candidate here. We'll start with our closing statements, and we'll start with you, Representative Veet.
Well, I thank you for being here. I thank y'all for listening, and I also thank y'all for taking time to go vote on August the 4th. It's important. Amendment 4 and Amendment 5 can greatly affect your lives, and you need to look at them very closely, but you also need to, I'm a no on both of them. Why do we want to give up our constitutional rights? I don't understand, and I value those. I've been a citizen in Jeff City. I've been in law practice here for all these years, and 8 years of training at the legislature. And more importantly is, look who has endorsed me. Blaine Luchtmeyer, he's conservative. Willard Haley, Representative Willard Haley, he's conservative. Dave Griffith, he's conservative. Mike Bernskotter, conservative. The Sheriff's Association, NRA gave me an A rating. Every public school entity has looked at my record and said, this is who we need in there to protect our public schools and to do something to change. Public schools need to be changed, not destroyed. Everything is capable of being improved. We have to work on improving them, not destroying them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Veet. Mr. Spicer.
First of all, I want to thank all the candidates for putting it out there. I don't think anybody in the audience realizes how much goes into this. I've been about 2.5 years now. I've been working on this, and it's been a long journey. And I've been blessed to have the endorsement of fire statewide. I have a local 513 endorsement. It's like I said, it's a journey, and we continue to, fight for this position. I mean, we got 12 days. We're down to 12 days, and I'm sure everyone on this panel here is tired, because I know I am. But, I just would love to have your support August 4th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vogel.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Like I've said many times, I'm not an activist, I'm not a bureaucrat, nor am I a career politician. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a veteran, and I'm a small business owner. We've had a supermajority since 2012, and we've had a statewide majority since 2018. I want to bring my skill set of building relationships, listening to people, and taking care of people to the Missouri Senate to get stuff done in caucus. So I think we could get a lot more conservative legislation passed if we can figure it out in caucus, and that's what I intend to do. This campaign is very simple to me. It's about being honest, respectful, and very accessible. I'll talk to anybody. Clearly, I'm willing to put my name, my family's name, and our reputation on the line. We've done that in this campaign. I've learned a lot. It's not easy, but that's why we did it, and we're not going to stop, and we continue. We do it because we care. I care about the community, so I would appreciate your vote and support and your optimism for a better future for Missouri and an optimistic outlook. Thank you, and God bless.
Dr. Thomas.
And again, thank you for being here. Thank you for hosting. And you all took your time tonight to be involved, educated citizens, and please go vote. It is so critical. Our turnouts have been abysmally low, so let's change that this cycle and get your neighbors to vote. As a conservative Republican and a very proud Missourian my entire life, I've worked hard. I'm the only medical doctor on this panel. I think the legislature needs people who understand, have boots on the ground experience in the health and mental health sphere. It's a huge portion of our state budget, and there are things we can do today to lower our health care costs, make sure that we have accessible and top quality both health and mental health care. We can solve our rural health care crisis, but I've been there. I know these solutions. We can implement them. We need to get moving on all of that. I have a track record of supporting and representing my constituents. That's the most important thing we do as legislators. Lawmaking is much more secondary, and the important thing there is stopping bad bills. A good bill can always be refiled. A bad bill you're stuck with, so we got to be very careful. You have to vet those bills, and I will be a watchdog for waste, fraud, and abuse. We do not want that in our government. We want everyone to live their lives. And again, thank you for being here. Vote Dr. Lisa Thomas on August 4th, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Dr. Thomas. Commissioner Skelton.
Thank you all for being here and watching at home, wherever you might be. That means that you are concerned about what's going on in your state, and you should be. One of the biggest problems we have in our state is the leadership. The leadership forces individuals in office to vote for the things that they want to pass. And 9 times out of 10, those things are being pushed by lobbyists, big corporations, and people with very, very deep pockets. As a matter of fact, the Missouri Chamber of Commerce and Industry has come after me with at least $50,000 trying to keep me out of Jefferson City. Why would they do that? I'm just a commissioner from Camden County. I've served 3 years in government. I'm not a career politician. And they've even stooped so low to try to trash my name. Why is that? Because I'm not going to play their games. I'm not going to be a rubber stamp for leadership. I am incredibly passionate about the Constitution. I am incredibly passionate about your civil liberties and your rights. And I will work every single day to make sure that those things that you care about the most, not corporation and lobbyists, are number one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all the candidates. A big round of applause for these folks taking time of their night. They are busy. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Programming note, Sunday, this week in Missouri Politics, we'll have Mark Ellinger from Jeff City and Phelps County's own Jack Cardetti. Thursday night, myself, Kansas City TV's own legend, Mike Mahoney, the Kansas City Star's Dave Helling, Stephanie Bell, and Jake Crows will be on our election special. And we hope you'll all join us and read the paper tomorrow morning. Thank you very much for being here. Good night.